Linda Nickell, and welcome to the Texas Women Photographers Circle monthly meeting. I, along with Leslie Sessums, are the moderators for the Facebook and Instagram page, and every month we meet here on Zoom, and I bring in a guest speaker to share their work, some tips and techniques, and a little inspiration to help us keep creative. You can find the schedule for our upcoming presentations on my website at lindanickell.com, as well as the links to previous sessions on YouTube. Tonight's guest is my fellow moderator, Leslie Sessums. Leslie's journey into photography isn't a unique one. She, like so many of us, began by taking photos of family and friends and eventually evolved into portraiture and weddings, but her passion for photography shines through in her travel images. Finding hidden gems while traveling is what makes her heart sing. Leslie recently became a travel agent, and I suspect her love for both travel and photography will keep a constant smile on her face. In tonight's presentation, The Accidental Photographer, Leslie's going to share her tips and insights on how you can look for travel gems that are often hiding in plain sight. If you're on Instagram, look for her at Leslie Sessums. And Leslie, before you get started, I'm going to hand it over to you in about 2 seconds. What did I miss? I know this is hard for Leslie. She got roped into this. You're welcome. And so we're going to be, I told her I'd be very gentle with her. I'm not going to throw any hardball questions at you, but I couldn't find anything like on a website or bio. What did I miss? What do we need to know about you?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, you even had the travel agent, which is the newest development in my journey. So
I'm an excellent stalker.
I mean,
all right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you share your screen if you're ready to do that and start your presentation.
Hi, I am Leslie Sessums. I am the accidental photographer. I am married. My husband Eric and I have been married for 25 years, and we have 2 grown daughters. Rainey, that's standing next to my husband in the picture, is 23, and Zoe next to her just turned 18. These first few images, I'm just going to give you some information about me and how I shoot, and I'm just going to give you something to look at. These are just some of my images. A lot of these have been published. But like I said, I never set out to be a photographer. Let me just tell you a little bit about me. I feel like people think that you have to have all the latest gear and all this, and I shoot a secondhand Canon 5D Mark II with a secondhand Canon 70 to 200L lens. I call myself the one lens wonder because that's the only lens I use. If I decide to do a macro, I will break out the extension tubes, but that is it. That's my only camera. That's my only lens. And as we're going through, you won't have to wonder, like, what did she shoot that with, or what were her settings, because everything is all the same. That's just how I work. I found something that I like, and I'm just rolling with it. I never, and probably a lot of this information may make a lot of y'all cringe because I have zero training. I have pretty much made all this up on my own as I go along. As you see, I do everything in my life. And I just decided I'm going to do something and just run with it. But I never use a tripod. I always shoot handheld. I can hold my breath and get down to like 1/30th of a second. I do want to try some long exposure like night photography stuff, which I know I would need a tripod for, and I have a tripod. I just don't currently use it. And sometimes if it's something like it's getting dark, I'll brace my shoulder or my camera lens on something, anything, a pole or whatever, just to get a little bit more sturdiness. I only shoot RAW. I haven't shot a JPEG in many, many years because I'm a control freak. I want to tell my camera what I want the picture to look like, not for the camera to just make up at will what it wants it to look like or what it thinks it should look like. I use a single point back button focus because I want it to be sharp in the spots that I want it to be sharp, not where the camera chooses. So like if I'm shooting a person, I will focus that center dot on their closest eyeball to me and then recompose the shot and shoot. And then do that every time. I only shoot manual mode, and the exposure triangle with your ISO and your aperture and your shutter speed, I never learned how to work that properly, like where you choose one and then the other two have to change. This is really going to make so many people cringe, but how I shoot, how I figured it out for myself was I put the ISO in auto because I will let the camera at least do that part for me. I always shoot wide open, lowest aperture, I think on that lens, 2.8, I think is what it is, wide open all the time. And then I just meter for the light to adjust my shutter speed. So that's my backdoor way of doing it. Like I said, I did not start out or didn't set out to be a photographer. It never crossed my mind like I want to be a photographer. I had a friend though that was a photographer, and we would go out and shoot like Linda said, you know, when you have kids, it kind of goes into overdrive. You start taking lots of pictures. And then when digital came out and I switched to digital, I was super obsessed because I could take all the shots I wanted and just trash whatever was bad. And so that really sent me into overdrive. But my friend that was a photographer, we would go out on these excursions, as I called them. I was doing travel agent work back then, and I would plan these excursions for us to go out on and see whatever, random stuff, just things that I knew of or things that I had heard about. When she was a photographer, and I would help her if she had like a large group, like a big family or like a big wedding or something, she would pay me and I would tag along. Sometimes I would just direct people, get everybody where they were supposed to be so that she could stand back and do what she had to do. Or sometimes like at weddings, she would have me second shoot with her, and I would do like detail shots while she was getting like the wedding parties and stuff like that. And I would do a different vantage point during the reception than where she was shooting. And so I worked with her for a little while. And then it came time that a girl that we knew was getting married, and she just assumed that my friend was going to do it for her because that's just how it worked. And it just so happened that she was getting married on Father's Day weekend, and my friend was going to be out of town visiting her dad. And so she panicked. She was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I was counting on you. Like it never crossed my mind that you wouldn't be able to do it. And my friend said, ask Leslie, she can do it. And so she was like, okay. And so she came to me and I said, absolutely not. No. And she was like, we've both been married before. It's a small wedding. I just want some memories. You can do this. Like, I trust you. I've seen your pictures. Like, it's fine. And I finally was like, okay, all right, fine. And so I did it. It wasn't bad. Whatever, you know. looking back on it now, the pictures are not great, but she has those memories, and that's what matters. And so I finally decided after that, okay, I could do this. Like, I could do this. And so then I was a worship leader in church at the time, a large church. So I knew a lot of people, and I also worked in radio. And so I knew a lot of people, and it wasn't that big of a town anyway. So it just kind of just word of mouth. I never had to advertise. People just kept coming, and I just kept posting it. Like, this was, when Facebook had first got started, and I just posted everything because I want to share everything that I see with everybody, because I appreciate it so much. And I feel like other people, maybe they're just not seeing it's why they don't appreciate it, or maybe they're not able to go see it's why they're not appreciate it. I don't know, but I just feel like I have to share everything. It's my duty. So it just kind of took off from there. Let's see, I've lost my place now. Let's see. So yeah, we would go on these weekend excursions. My friends would think I was crazy. We lived sort of in the country, and I planned a trip to go to the big city, to a place that had pretty flowers. And they were like, you live in the country and you're going to the big city to see flowers. And I'm like, yeah, I am. So when I first got started, if it wasn't for anybody that could be interested in portrait photography, I'm just going to tell y'all how my journey went and how I've progressed, and how I made it work. And so maybe you can get things that might work for you. I would, if somebody didn't have me booked, and it was kind of slow, I would just see somebody and think, oh, I would really like to photograph them. And so I would just ask them, like, would you model for me? Like, I'm building my portfolio, like, you don't have to pay me anything. And some people I know are like, never give away your work for free, but I was building my portfolio. The money was not that serious. Like, I just needed to have consistent work coming in that I could be posting and people could be seeing, to get more clients or whatever. But I would tell them, like, I'm not going to charge you for this. I'll give you all these photos. Just let me practice. And but don't tell them that I did it for free, because I'm not trying to be like a free photographer. So this is how much I actually charge. So if anybody asks you, hey, how much did she charge you for that? You tell them this amount. So that's how I kind of like built up my business. That was one way. So I shot in Arkansas. I started my business in 2009, and then in 2015, 6 years later, we started moving around for my husband's job. They started offering him promotions, and just were taking advantage of that. We have moved several times. Let's see. I may be way behind on my slides here. Let's see. No, I'm not. Ta-da. Okay, so the first move we did in 2015 is we moved to Kansas City. I had never even been to Kansas City, but we were down for it. We were there. So we went, and we loved living in Kansas City. And these pictures here, these are Kansas City pictures. The one on the top left here is she was doing some modeling, and this was actually, and she was very artsy too. And she had, I did her senior pictures, and then she asked me to do these, and it was a Little Red Riding Hood series. I only put this one in here. I don't know why. There's a whole series of them though. And since she was doing modeling, she sent them to, she was sending them to magazines. So this was actually the first time that I got published. I had nothing to do with it. She had sent them as the model, and they was like, well, we need the high-res files from your photographer. So she messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, they've picked us up for this magazine. but they need the high-res files. Can you? And I was like, yeah, of course. And so then she messaged me back and she was like, we got cover and images on the inside. And I'm like, what? I don't get what? And then, so that was in September. And then at the end of September, they put out like a special edition of the magazine, and it was the top models of September or something like that. And again, they pulled our images, some of the Little Red Riding Hood and some of her senior images. And then another magazine came back, and they were doing, this was in October. I don't remember what that issue that it was that she got picked up for that one. But anyway, so there was some went into that one. And so 2 of them we got cover and inside. One of them I think we just got inside. And then I have seen some of these Little Red Riding Hood pictures like on Pinterest in like best Halloween costumes or something. Like those pictures will pop up.
We're curious, Leslie, but which magazine were you published in?
So those were some most of the magazines I've been published in are the model photographer magazines, which I didn't even know was a thing. She turned me on to this. They are they put all the models' information and all the photographers' information, and even the people that make whatever the model is wearing. So like her mother had made this cape that she has on. And so her mother's name was in there too. And I was listed as a photographer and she was listed as the model. And this girl is like a makeup, as you can see. I mean, look at her. She has even traveled to New York City and done makeup for models for Fashion Week. So she was crazy with it there for a while. She's modeled for other photographers and all kinds of stuff. But when we lived in Kansas City, also the Wonder Balloon picture there, my husband works for Flowers Baking Company, who Wonder Bread is one of their products. And the people that fly the Wonder Bread balloon are stationed, or their home base is in Kansas City. It's called Kansas City Aerosports. And so the bakery that my husband worked for wanted a picture of the balloon in flight. And so they asked me if I would go out on a hot air balloon chase and get some pictures of the balloon in flight. And I was like, sure. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but sure. I mean, sure, I can take a picture of a balloon in the sky, whatever. I learned that was so fun. Like I was in a van with a driver and we were chasing them and we didn't know where they were going to land. And like he would walkie-talkie with her and tell her, rotate the balloon to the left. And you would see the fire blow, in the thing, and it would turn. Like I had no idea that you could even do that. I thought it just went whichever way the wind blew, but it don't. So anyway, there we got the shots back, and I turned them over to them and they picked this one, and that is hanging in the bakery in Lenexa, Kansas, in a 3-foot by 4-foot canvas, massive, in their lobby. So as soon as you walk in, this is massive Wonder Balloon photo that I took. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then, so this is like the importance, like you've got to put your work out there, keep putting it out there, or, I mean, how are they going to find you otherwise? I mean, this is just like, a lot of this is just accidental stuff. So then the bottom left, of course, is Union Station in Kansas City. That's like my favorite place to stand up there and watch the sunset, overlooking the city skyline. The picture on the right there, that's actually, I just put that there to be representative because when I lived in Kansas City, they, a company called Bella Baby that does in hospital newborn shots, not like just the click, over the thing, click baby photo, but like actual in hospital, in room photo shoots. They found me online and said, we like your style. We like that you shoot really light and bright, and that's our style. Do you want to come work for us and be a neonatal photographer? And I was like, at first I thought this is a scam. Like I I don't know. So when my husband got home, I was like, I got this weird email today. Like, it sounds scammy, but I Googled it and it like seems like a real thing. And so he Googled it and he was like, it does seem like a real thing. And so I sent back and I was like, okay, yes, give me more information. And they were like, we'll send you to lunch with our supervisor or our manager there. Went to lunch with her and I became the neonatal photographer for the Overland Park Regional Medical Center, just by accident, just because they found me online and liked my pictures. Of course, I can't share those because, HIPAA and all that. So I just put that's actually my nephew in that picture. Also, while we lived there, I was a worship leader there as well. I did a few shoots there. And then let's see what's next here. Oh, when we lived there is when I decided I wanted to specialize in boudoir. I love boudoir. It has its pros and cons, definitely. People are very skeptical about it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm fine with it. Nobody's got nothing that I ain't seen before, so I don't, whatever. And I mean, pros, what that does for a woman's self-esteem is, it'll just make you, just bring you to tears, them and you, like, for them to see themselves in the way that other people see them is just an unreal realization. And to get to see that and do that it's great. I love it. And also, but cons, it's a lot of skin. It's a lot of retouching, and people are, it's kind of a private thing, there are some people that will, that don't care, that you can share the images, but there's not many people like that. So it's very hard to market yourself because they want to see your work before they do it, commit to doing it with you. And if you don't have any work that you can share besides, some legs sticking out of the bathtub, then it makes it really hard. Also, when we lived in Kansas City, I had done some engagement photos for some people that we knew, and they decided to have a destination wedding in the Dominican Republic. So the sunset photo there is from the Dominican when I was there. Funny story. I'm a storyteller, as you can tell, but they had this big destination wedding planned. Everybody, had everything done. We had our passports, all the things. We were ready to go. It was like 2 weeks out, and they broke up. So, but it was too late. It was too close to the actual date. It was too late to back out. They couldn't get their money back. There was nothing they could do. So they was like, well, by golly, we're going on vacation because we ain't letting this go to waste. We've got, Dominican Republic, for Pete's sake. So we're going. So they moved all of the bride's side all the way over to the other side of the resort, and the groom's side was over on the other side. And it was a little awkward because we would run into the other side at restaurants and stuff like that. But, you can't get married in another country and it be legal in the United States. You have to technically get married in the United States before you go to have your ceremony in the other country. So they technically were already married. And after we went to the Dominican and we got back and things cooled down and everything, they got back together. They're still married. They have a little girl. It's like 4. Like, it all worked out fine. But that was just a crazy thing that happened. Such is my life. Then we moved to Atlanta. They offered him a promotion to go to Atlanta. We was like, well, we've actually been through there at least before. So yeah, sure. Why not? So this is the skyline picture. There is the Atlanta skyline from Piedmont Park. I was there doing a senior shoot, and just so happened to be standing in that spot when that sun peeked through the buildings right there. Just serendipity craziness that I was just standing there. There's that Ansel Adams quote about sometimes I get to places just when God's ready to have somebody snap the shutter or something like that. That is that is so me, because I just stumble onto stuff. I swear, it's not. I mean, I do plan for things, but still, that one was very unintentional. Let's see. I continued. I always, wherever I'm at, I'm seeking out jewels, just little things that people that live there don't even know about. My friends in Kansas City, I was like, oh, I've been out taking pictures of this and that, whatever. And they're like, I've lived here my whole life and I have no idea what you're talking about. So, so I continued doing that while we were there. We didn't live in Atlanta just about a year and a half. And then they decided to offer him another promotion and come to DFW. So, let's see. Oh, that's Colorado. Anyway, we came to DFW. That is when I really started traveling, because he was traveling a lot, and so I would just book a plane ticket and just kind of tag along with him. And this is, I really started like planning things, and then, you know, of course, realized just recently, like, I'm so desperate to like share all these things that I see with everybody, with the world, like, and I wish that they could see it for themselves. And oh my goodness, well, I could like help people with that. Like, I can make that like a reachable thing for people. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. But anyway, I learned from the few travels here that like really planning and where to get good information, like Pinterest. I'm a Pinterestaholic. You know, on my contact page at the end, it has my Pinterest on it. I have nearly every state, so many countries, all these photo spots that I want to go there and make those photos for myself, because I love to look at them, but I want them myself. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if anybody else is that way, but a good way also is to Google like Instagram spots. What are the best Instagram spots in this area? Because that's so big now, is those the Instagram photos. Also, asking photo groups, like especially our women's group. Like, we have so many resources, you know, all over the place in the United States, that you can just reach out to, and they're happy to tell you what to see while you're there. I went to Cape Cod here a while back, and I reached out to Hope and them from the Massachusetts group, you know, and all those ladies, and they were telling me, you know, do this, do that, go here, go there. And that's such a great resource that we have. Maps. I always am looking at the map, see exactly where it's at and all this. I have learned that to screenshot my map, because if you get too far out that your map is not working, then I can still, like, I can read an old school map, so I can still see on there enough, even if it's not telling me where I'm at, I can still kind of get the gist from that photo that I took of the map to find my way wherever. And I ask locals, anywhere, at the hotel, at restaurants, just anywhere, because they're happy to tell you if they know. And know about the transportation, because some places are different. When we lived in Atlanta, Uber is king. But like, we went to Hawaii and Uber's at the bottom. Taxis and their bus are the best mode of transportation there. If you haven't rented a car, that is, you know. But it's always different in different areas, so it's good to know ahead of time what you're going to need. So this was a trip. We went to Colorado. This bear, I'm not used to that. I'm a Southern girl. I know we have bears here, but they're not in your face like they are there. This bear, we could not keep him out of our garage. We had my husband's a runner, and so he travels around the country to run these big races and stuff. And him and a bunch of us, his friends, running friends, we had all rented a house together. So this bear would not stay out of our garage. And this night I pulled up and he had our trash out. Like, and that's just crazy to me because, like I said, we have bears, but they're not in your face like that. And these other pictures are just in Colorado, Garden of the Gods here. This is just on the side of the road somewhere. This was when we flew into Colorado Springs. There was some weather happening, and I love weather. So I love that photo. And I love how the mountains are like in those misty, foggy layers. I love that. This deer on the left, he was kind of funny. One of his horns was a little wonky. He was almost a unicorn, I think. He was just, and there's one standing right behind him, and you can see another antler off to the left there. They were just all up in our business, in our yard. One of them was standing looking in our door at breakfast, the sliding glass door one morning, like he wanted something. The one on the far right is up on top of Pikes Peak. That's a young bighorn sheep. I love pictures of all kinds. I love all kinds. I mean, animals, bugs, nature, scenery, whatever. All of it. I want all of it. The far left is the incline. If you know, you know. I did it once. I will say I did it once. I will never do it again. It's about a mile of straight up climbing, and not for the faint of heart. It is serious, but I did it, and I'm so proud of myself, but I will never do it again. This middle one is in Breckenridge, and this one on the right is in Canyon City. I can never remember which one it actually is. I think it's Canyon City. Anyway, this is the Royal Gorge. That's pretty amazing if you've never seen that. We went to California, and so I watched Linda's programs, her Happiness Hours, and I'd seen one that really spoke to me. It was the slow photography movement. Ernesto Ruiz, is that his name, I believe? Anyway, love that. This trip to California really, like, I just learned so much about myself because my husband we were there for his work thing, so he could not venture out with me. And we did have a rental car on that trip. And I was like, I am doing it. I am watching the sunset from a different beach every night. I'm going to see this. Like, I had everything, and I did it all by myself. And if you knew me, I do not do anything by myself, anything. And I did everything, and I was so proud of myself. And I think this is my favorite trip. And I think really that's why. I think it's not it was a great trip. It was a great quality trip, but what I got out of it personally was so much more. And I think that's why this is my favorite ever. Bunnies on the beach. I didn't know that was a thing. They apparently live there. They're everywhere. Didn't know that. This one on the right, this guy with the yellow surfboard. I love how he's just like looking up at the cliff and all the rocks and everything. And there was a bunch of birds up there and stuff. And there was seals just right over. This is in La Jolla. This bottom left, this is Victoria Pool. We're gonna talk some more about Victoria Beach. But this is Victoria Pool. It is at the bottom of, I meant to mention in that very first shot where it's me in front of that little castle thing. That's the Victoria Beach castle. I don't know. And this is this pool is like right below it. And then this on the right, I don't know, it's one of the beaches that I was at one of the sunsets one night. I don't know. And I just love how there was like a layer of fog and just this one kid. Now there were other people on the beach, I will say, but I took out the distractions, I do like to do touristy things, but I do love the nature things so much. But I do the touristy things too. This one on the left here, that's just like a classic, iconic thing that I just wanted to see while I was there. It's just a statue, but I don't know. I've just always loved that. I just think it's so cute. I love and romance and all that. So I just think that's so cute. And so I had to drive down there and get a shot of that. Middle photos, just a surfer. I don't know. This one on the right is the Victoria Beach thing that I was just talking about. You can't see the pool. It's a little further out here. This was a super adventure that I'll tell you more about in a minute. But just remember this photo. Like, look at this photo and memorize it. See, hopefully there is no like stitches or anything that you can see anywhere. I mean, I can't even see them, so I hope you can't either. But I'm going to show you. This is actually like 3 different photos stitched together because I'm a one lens wonder. We also went to Hawaii. This sunset is just quintessential Hawaii, and I just love it. Just because it's just so Hawaii to me. I love it. The top right is Honolulu, kind of between Honolulu and Waikiki there, a little marina, and there's all these boat people paddling through there. I love that their buildings have all that glass and it's all kind of like a teal color, like the water, and teal is my favorite color. So I just love that. The bottom left is actually, when I went to Hawaii, they were like, we did not have a rental car for that trip. So I had been walking like 5 miles a day in Waikiki, just walking around, just seeing everything that I could see in that area. But then right at the end of the trip, like everybody's like, you have to get a car. You have to go to the North Shore. You cannot miss that, because they know me and I'm a freak and about all the pictures and everything. And they're like, you have to go to the North Shore. So the last day we got a car and we went to the North Shore, and yes, everybody is absolutely right. If you go, you have to go to the North Shore. It is, those waves are something I've never seen. And the bottom right, that's at on the North Shore. They were just pounding into those rocks. There were actually news crews out, and they had caution tape up on the beaches because apparently there was like a storm or something that was really making this was during the big wave season anyway. This is like where they held all the surf competitions, like the really serious ones. But it was just really churning while we were there. The bottom left is actually Kualoa, I think it is, Ranch. That's where they filmed Jurassic Park. We did not go in there, but I was taking pictures from like backed up because, I'm the one lens wonder and I'm always too close to everything. Also went to South Carolina. This is Charleston in the bottom left here, the Charleston Harbor and the Ravenel Bridge. And this is, I can't remember which lighthouse this is, what the name of it is, but just some South Carolina stuff. We went to Cape Cod. These here in the bottom right, that looks like a pile of rocks. It's not, it's seals. They just piled up on each other and laid out in the sun and barked and howled, and I love watching them. And then that top left, I did finally catch them in the water where they come over closer to me. I was standing up on the fishing pier thing and looking down at them, and they are so used to people and used to everybody looking at them, and they would come out and just look at you and then they'd swim away without a care. Obviously this is one of the lighthouses, which is so weird because it's across the street from the beach, and also it's very short. I don't know how that works. Most of the ones I've seen have been very tall, but not that one. This top right picture, that's just some fancy house where we were staying. I just thought it was beautiful. This is some more. The far right picture, we stayed at the Chatham Bars Inn. Chatham, they say it Chatham. That's not a spell, but that's how they say it. On the far right, this is their boat. tied up there, and you can see that the tide is out and the boat's facing, like the water's pulling it towards the right. On the left is the same boat a few hours later, when the tide had come in and it had brought the fog with it. It's in the exact same spot, but look how different those pictures look. Like, it's just crazy how it changed. And it was very, when it was foggy, it was so like eerie and quiet and peaceful and just awesome. It was just really cool. I was the only one out on the beach, the only one. That was another work trip, so all the work people were in, and I was just out doing whatever. This moss in the middle, that moss grows on everything, and I love it. It's just so textural, and I love it. As far as editing goes, so when I worked in radio, I was a DJ and stuff, but I also did graphic design. So I am a Photoshop girl. I learned to use Photoshop when I was doing graphic design, and I do use Lightroom sometimes, but Photoshop is really my go-to. I just feel like there's so much more that I can do in Photoshop. That's probably actually the most help that I could offer people, actually. I mean, because the shooting and stuff, like I said, I just made all that up. I mean, I kind of do that with Photoshop too, because I just know I can backdoor my way into doing what I want. But anyway, I love Photoshop, and I love editing. As much as I love going to the beautiful locations and shooting, I love editing, and I will spend hours upon hours upon hours just like listening to music and just editing. I am kind of a purist. I want it to be as natural as it is as possible, but I will move distractions because I cannot stand to see photos that have something distracting in them. So like on the left, it had those shadows coming across it, and there's like a power box there. And that was, I didn't like it. I couldn't, it was drawing my eye. And so I had to take it out. On the right here, even the beautiful people need some help sometimes. This was one of my boudoir clients, and this actually is the sister of the Little Red Riding Hood girl. Anyway, this was at the very end of the shoot. She was tired. I was tired. Her lashes were starting to come unglued on the corners. Her lipstick was fading. And I mean, you can just tell by looking at her that she's exhausted. But in Photoshop, just a little click, click, tweak here and there, and you wouldn't even know that she was tired, I feel like, in that bottom picture. Like I said, my husband's a runner. There's always a photographer at the runs taking their pictures, and he has a pretty big social media presence because he's like an athlete and stuff, and he is on his social media game. He posts every single day, multiple times a day, about anything and everything, and he liked this photo because he was finishing a race and he was struggling. But again, that girl right behind him, bless her heart, I had to get rid of her. He was like, "That's just so distracting." And then there's another guy back there too. He's like, "It's so distracting. Can you get rid of that?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably. Send it to me and I'll see what I can do." And he was very pleased. This on the right is that California trip. And like, I feel like people see the pictures, the beautiful pictures, the beaches with nobody on them. It's just, and that's not real life. When you go there, there are hundreds of people. This was in Laguna Beach. So there were hundreds of people out there. And right as I was composing this shot, this girl steps in, and I'm like, "Okay, fine. I wait. And she's just still standing there taking pictures. And I'm like, "Fine, I'll just get rid of it later. Easy fix, click, click, she's gone." Okay, so this far right picture is the one I had y'all look at a while ago. Would you have thought that came from? Okay, so these are the two main pictures that I used to make that one. So me being the one lens wonder, I'll tell you a funny story about this one too. Am I over on time?
Just a little bit, but I'm gonna let you finish.
This is the end actually. Another funny story, kind of a twofer in this funny story. This was one of those places that it's not easy to find. I knew it was at Laguna Beach, and I knew sort of the area that it was in. It's on Victoria Beach in Laguna Beach. Anyway, I had seen on Pinterest, I had done my research about how to find where this thing is, because this neighborhood that it's attached to at the top of this bluff, excuse me, is full of celebrities. So they do not advertise where this is at. They don't want you in there. It's like, they're going to make you work for it if you're going to find it. And I was determined. So the California shoreline, you can see, is very rocky. And like, we come out, I thought I was close to it. We come out on the beach there, and I look down and I can see it, but it's way down there. And there's no way to get to it, because these rocky things, the rocky outcrop things, whatever that is, you can't get around them. You can't really go over them. The ocean was very rough, and the tide was coming in, and I knew I was racing the tide. I also knew from my research that you had to go when the tide was low, or you can't get to it. The water actually comes up on that bottom part where you can't get to it at all. And it's kind of around a corner, so you can't really see it. You can't get close enough. It's just, it's hard. And so I was on the beach and I could see it down there. And then I was looking at the map and I'm like, how? And I knew there was a giant staircase. If I could just find that staircase, but it wasn't marked and it was going down, so you couldn't see it. It was like hidden, basically. So there's rumors about who owns this. And one of the only one I remember, there were several famous people, but the only one I really remember was, they said they thought that Bette Midler may have owned it back in the day. But it actually is just a spiral staircase that comes down and gives them beach access from the top where all the mansions are. So I'm like, well, we go. I'm looking at it on the map and I'm like, there was this one loop of a neighborhood. And when I tell you that it was on an angle, like 45 degrees or more, the steepest, and it was so tight, like the homeowners barely had room to inch their car up to their house and still let another car pass by. Like, it was so tight. There was absolutely no parking. You could not park in there. And so I'm like, we had went through there and I didn't see it. And so I was like, we're going to have to go through there again. And my husband, bless his heart, he gets a little testy sometimes when I'm like, we got to go again. We got to try again. And he's just like, really? I'm like, please, come on. And so anyway, I'm like, let's go through there one more time. And so we went so slow, inching down this hill, like weaving. And I spot a staircase and I'm like, that's got to be it. Just let me out and I will text you after a while. I don't know. I'm just going to go because the tide's coming in. I'm running out of time. I gotta find this. And so I went down those stairs, and flight after flight after flight after flight. And it's narrow and there's these mansions on both sides, and it was crazy. And I get to the bottom and I know that I have to go around a curve. So I come out around and I can see it. But there are others. Okay. In the second photo, you can see in the hole just to the right of the tower that there's another one of those. tower things that comes down. It's not like this one. Like, this is the only cool castle-y looking one, but it's just, you know, something practical to get them down to the beach. And then there's, from where I stood taking that picture, there's one behind me as well. So there's a crack. And so the tide's coming in and it's already to the bottom of the one behind me that I've got to get around so that I can take a picture of this one. So there's like a crack between that stairway thing and that rock wall, that rock cliff. I shimmied between the rock wall and the little whatever this thing is, and get to the other side, and me and my one lens wonderness, I'm too close and I don't have an option. This is the only, I cannot pick up and still see it. This is it. So I'm like, okay, I just got to get the shots. I got to get all the pieces. And so I took the top and took the bottom, and then I put them together over here. And there was, I guess, another landscape oriented photo that had more of the rock out there that I have stuck in there as well. And so I put those together in Photoshop using layers, and I've made the layers sort of transparent. You can see in the bottom corner how that one is transparent, so I can see how the pieces fit together. And then Photoshop has the sky replacement. You know, you can improve your sky. So I did a sky replacement and kind of put that sky in there to make it look like a photo, like a whole one photo. So yeah, so I get the shots. I'm so excited. The waves are about to take me away. Literally, I was wet above my waist, and I like got my camera over my head, and they were strong. So I run back out, and I'm trying to get to the top of all those stairs. I am not the most physically fit gal. And I finally get to the top, and I call my husband, and he's coming down there to get me. And I get in the car, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it. I had to shimmy like this and this and this, and I'm soaking wet, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I got the shots, and he was like, his face, I could tell. I was like, what? And he was like, so while you were down there doing that, he had went back out the neighborhood, out the top, and was going to park somewhere across the street. And wait for me to call him and tell him to come rescue me. And so he said while he was sitting there, he decided, well, he was going to get out and walk around and see what he saw right there. And so he looked in the mirror, his side mirror, to see if there was any traffic coming, because we were on a very busy highway. And a bicyclist was coming. Like, if he had opened his door, he would have like clotheslined the guy. And as the guy come by, he like obviously like leaned and looked in the window, like made face contact with my husband. I don't know why. I don't know if it was just being funny or what, but it was Aunt Anstead from he has a car show on, like, I don't know, HGTV or something like that. I don't know. He's a car guy, and my husband watches his show. It was him. And so he's like, oh my gosh. And he looks in the mirror to see again if he can get out. And a blonde girl comes by on a bike right behind him. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill somebody. And so he was like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. And they turned on their bikes and went into that neighborhood where I was. And so he was like, well, that's crazy. So he goes behind them, and he comes to a house, and the garage door is open, and they're taking off their helmets and putting their bikes away and stuff. And at the time that this happened, I don't know if it's still, I don't really keep up with celebrities that much. I don't know if they're still dating or not, but he was dating Renee Zellweger from like Jerry Maguire and all those movies. And it was her that was with him. And he was like, oh my gosh. And so he was like, man, if I had realized, like, I would have snapped a shot or something, like a paparazzi. And anyway, he said he went out. Of course, you can't stop. You can't turn around. There's nothing. So he had to go back out and come back. And when he come back through again, the garage door was coming down and they were walking up the stairs into the house. But so he was like, I had my own like excitement going on while you were in there. So anyway, just funny story. Just the things that happen to me, making crap up and stuff. Like I said, I edit in Photoshop 99% of the time. I do love chasing critters and stuff, and sometimes I will crop way in to get closer to something, and I use the Topaz Denoise AI. That is a really great program. Love it. And I mean, the goal obviously is to not have to use that, but sometimes you just need it, because I don't like noise. I mostly use a mouse, but I do have a tablet. I don't know how you say it, the Wacom or Wacom, or I don't know, whatever. And with a pen that I use for really detailed kind of stuff, or beauty editing. It makes it so much easier for beauty editing with a pen. Let's see. And so this photo right here is 3 photos, a fake sky, and also the hole in between the tower and the rock wall. If you see over here, it has there's another one back there, and I didn't like that. It's distracting. So I took a piece from over here and moved it over here just to make it, I don't know. It just made me happier. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and finish.
No, that's basically it. I may edit a photo a lot, but I don't ever want you to know it. So yeah, that's it. That's all. Here's my contact information. Like I said, I'm a Pinterestaholic. If you want to look at those and see, inspiration or whatever. My Facebook has the most photos on it. If you want to see more photos from any of this stuff, it has the most. Instagram is just kind of 1 or 2 from each shoot or whatever. And then I have a website, that portfolio website. I have not kept it up very well recently because I've been working on other things. But yeah.
Okay. That's it. Okay, so let me get you to take your screen down. I've got a couple of questions for you. Some clarification. I think someone in the chat answered it, but you said many times you're the one lens wonder. Can you repeat which lens that is?
Yes. I have a Canon 70 to 200L.
Okay.
And I think it goes down to 2.8, I think.
Yeah, it does.
And I shoot it wide open.
Okay. And then Karina was curious, or would you repeat, what was the focus point you use?
Oh, it's the center. It's set on the manual focus. If you can push your button halfway down, and it'll pick a focus point for you, but you can set it to manual. To where you pick the focus point, and I can toggle that focus point if I wanted to, but normally I just leave it on the center one. Mm-hmm. And put that center point on the eyeball or whatever it is that I want to be tack sharp, and then recompose my shot and snap it.
Okay, perfect. And the last question, I shouldn't say last, but if anybody in the audience has any questions, this is a good time to put them in the chat. But the last one I saw, Carrie was curious, how much do you charge for portraits, and or what did you charge when you first started out? Do you remember?
Oh, I think when I first started, I'm from a small town, and I think I was charging $200 at the time. I have never been a print selling person, because me personally, I don't ever print things. Everything is mainly because I'm a terrible decision maker. I would like to have pictures hanging in my house, but I really just can't make the decision on which one to choose. So I don't know. I just give them to them. I edit them to the point, to how I want them. I would never give them anything unedited or anything like that. I just give them the finished product. Back then it was on a CD. Now I put them on the little jump drive things, whatever they are.
Flash drives, yeah.
Yeah. And these days I've been charging 300. I've come up $100 in 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not, I know it's not,
It's not a get rich quick kind of
it's
hobby.
not, no, not the way I do it anyway.
All right, Leslie, breathe. You did fine. You did. And thank you for doing it. She was reluctant and I didn't accept a no for an answer.
I
And
wanted to do it. I love to talk photography. I love it. Once I got going, I was fine. I knew I would go over. I'm sorry about y'all's time, but
that's okay. The thing is, people can leave and we do record. I don't record all of them, but I record most of them, and they can catch them on the YouTube channel if they miss something or they want to. What did she say? It's a good place to go back and replay it. So thank you for doing this for me. And yeah.
Thanks for letting me.
Of course.
Teaching me how.
You know what? This whole thing is a learning process. It really is. As photographers, I know a bunch of these people in the room, and I know that they have collections of their own images. And maybe somebody in the room is new to me. You've got a collection there, and you're thinking, I could put together a presentation, and I just need a place to practice, because maybe you want to do something with other presentations for photography clubs or teaching. This is a great opportunity to come and practice. There's no judgment. It's just a good place to come and try out your material, see what works, what doesn't work. And that's one of the things that I thought was really important for you to do, because I think you want to do more with your photography. And public speaking is not easy. And you and I both, know that from a personal. Well, you saw me, I saw you. It's tough. It really is tough. So, all right, ladies, you can connect with Leslie through Instagram at Leslie Sessums. And next month, please join us on October 6th when flower photographer Nancy Farney, she'll be here to share her presentation, The Deep Beauty of Flowers. And until next time, I hope that you find time to get out with your cameras, stay creative, and share your photos through Texas Women Photographers Circle.